Howdy folks, TJ here. I have something really cool to show you, and I'm excited to receive my first copy. I kind of wish I was in the Speccies back in the early 1980s because I would have been all over this magazine called Crash. Ever since I started following Sinclair and Spectrums and all that fun stuff, I've really been wanting to get some Crash magazines, but dang, are they expensive. I did have a friend send me, I think I've got maybe one or two older Crash magazines. I probably should have grabbed it for this video, but this video is about the new version of Crash. I wanted to show you how it was sent to me and how I got it and open it up and kind of check it out together. Well, I thought that'd be kind of fun, but Crash seems to be like the magazine in the day that you had to have. And I'm kind of excited because I love printed magazines. I'm not a digital reader. I don't mind periodically, like on vacation, having a digital reader, but most of the time I prefer a good old-fashioned magazine. So this one is now been reborn. Crash Magazine is now being produced again, and there's a Patreon group that you can join and pay a monthly stipend or dividend or whatever you want to call it, payment. And for, I think, the months that they ship, this is a quarterly magazine, that you'll get that money removed from your account. At least so far, that's what happened with mine. I had, they just shipped this first one. This is the very first issue, and I'm glad I found it before they started shipping it, because I kind of saw the post about this magazine coming available again, but I didn't quite follow it close enough, and then at the tail end, I go, oh yeah, I want to be part of this new rebirth of Crash Magazine. So what did I receive? So it's a small magazine. It's, you know, not your typical in the United States full-size magazine. Although I love the A4, I think, size is what the magazines over in Europe are. I always loved the European Atari magazines back in the day. They look so much nicer than us U.S. magazines. Although there's a few U.S. magazines that were kind of cool. The ones from Europe always made me drool a little bit. So this is kind of fun to get something like this in the mail because I'm receiving it at the same time everybody else is. So I don't have to step back in time to the 1980s and read old news. I can get some new news. Now I know there's some people that are going to say, well, you can learn seconds away from post that on internet what's happening in the world, but I still think there's a place for printed magazines where you can actually read more in-depth stories about something in a nice fluent manner rather than jumping all around the place on the internet to find out information. You have it printed out for you in a nice orderly fashion. Well, as orderly as the editors are. But this is how I received it. So I was a little afraid because in the mail, this end was pretty much completely slid open. And it had its fun little ride over here. The edges are a bit beat. This side was completely open. Fortunately, the magazine was inside. And what did I do with... There was actually a little... what did I do with it? I'm going to have to find it. There was a little thing that came with it. Dang it, now I'm going to have to find it, and I don't know where I put it. Christmas card, I think it was. So, anyway, we'll look at the magazine first, and then if I can find the card, I'll show you later. But anyway, I covered my address. A nice little Crash sticker on the front here. So let's go ahead and take it open. Like I said, I was kind of going, oh no, what's missing? But fortunately, my Crash magazine made it safely. We'll look at that in a second. So, on the back of this is just like a heavy cardstock, and it says, obviously, please don't bend. And inside there's nothing else. It's all empty now. I'll save this for now in case I need to save it for anything. But the Crash magazine overall made it safely. Little edges are bumped over, but I'm going to read this probably so many times it's going to get all ruffled anyway. So here's the front of the magazine. Hopefully I'm not getting too much glare. I'll try to show it in a couple of different positions. And as you see, it's a small little magazine. Here's my hand. So there's the front cover. Really cool looking cover. And on the front, it does say, number 1, December 2020. A Fusion Retro publication, 3.99 pounds. Still the best Spectrum magazine 34 years on. Over 10 new games reviewed. Nick Roberts Playing Tips returns. Cover crackers. The best game cover art remembered. Simon Butler's Screen 8-bit art celebration. plus, Lloyd Mangram's Forum is back. Mr. Hare and the Fly, Ratatat, Duck Strumma, Restless Andre, Coloristic, and more. That was all here on this side. Then Spectrum Adventure Trail with Colin Bell in digital and printed every quarter for Spectrum enthusiasts. And then on the bottom, it's got Oliver Frey's little signature, because this cover or this art must be from Oliver, which I do have him as a friend on Facebook. So thanks for friending me. You didn't know probably who the clue this TJ guy was from the United States, but you ended up accepting my friend request, so thank you. So there's the front. The back is kind of cool. You know, front and back covers always have to have something special, and this has got a nice little alien dude on the back, so what's that all about? Now, just so you know, this review is not going to be in-depth on each article. I'm going to kind of do a scrum through it, so you kind of get a gist of what this magazine's about. So on the back, it looks like it's an ad. Is it Marsmere Alienation Extended Edition? Awesome platformer for the ZxSpectrum. Get a physical cassette. So it's so cool that you can still buy cassette games for Speccies. Really neat. And so the back is an advertisement for them. And it's got a little barcode QR scan down there. So nice and colorful, nice back. So before we open it up, I'm going to kind of review the way TJ reviews magazines. I think I've done this in a past video, but we're going to zip around and do a close-up of... Phew, we're going to be reading it from this side. So come on over, look over my shoulder, and we're going to read a little of this together. All right, ready to read a magazine, or at least kind of explore it a little bit? Here's my Crash magazine. I think I'll take my glasses off because I can't read too well with them on. So, like I said, here's the front and back. So when you open up the magazine, nice and comfortable in your hands. And right away, the inside cover is also another important part of a magazine. I'll kind of hold this up at a little bit different angle to see if we can show it without too much glare. But it looks like art by, I can't quite read that, MCH1. And so it's an advertisement there. And then to our Crash Micro #1. So it's got a complete table of contents. I'm just going to rattle through some of this so you can kind of get a gist of what's going on. But page 16, cover crackers. 26, Crash investigates. 52, Crash back. Then there's some articles, Simon Butler's screens. And then regulars, we got editorial, Lloyd Mangram's forum, Adventure Trail, Nick Roberts playing tips, Spectrum Next, preview, and sign off. So nice table of contents, and I did read through everything so I know who it's writing in. Your editor's Chris Wilkins, and then you've got all of the other editors below that. When you get your own magazine, you can read them all for yourself, but I looked over everything. I kind of wanted to learn people's names from the get-go. And so Fusion Retro Books. So there's the table of contents. And then you quickly flick. And what I've read already, briefly, is I was not familiar with Roger Keane, who was the editor of the Crash magazine back in the day. I've seen him before, and I kind of knew who he was, but I didn't quite put the two and two together. So this is kind of cool that he writes a New Dawn approaches, and then Chris comes in with Crash Bang Wallop and puts his 2 cents as kind of like, hey, here's some editor notes. This is what's going to go on. And then the magazine kind of starts from there. And I'm not going to go page per page, but he talks about the Crash cover, coloristic, blocks, and this looks like 48K games released in 2020. So it's kind of cool. Right off the chute, they're kind of covering some games that are made for the older Specky, but current game 2020. Somebody's created this cool game for it. Duckstrama, and it's got reviews. So let's, for example, look down here. Use of computer. So the one I remember, the Crash magazine, had some ratings, and so this one has ratings. So use of computer, graphics, playability, getting started, addictive qualities. So it sticks with that theme, I guess. Most magazines always have a, hey, you got 1 star, 5 star, whatever it is. Meyermare, I've seen that game posted in some Facebook groups. Rat-a-tat, My Hair, and The Fly. In fact, I think I saw a quick little link to that in my own Sinclair Society Facebook group on the game is available. So I'm going to have to check that one out. So here's a story about that game. Then you go to Crash 1982, so it's going to step back in time. What's kind of cool is we can look back at these games and see what happened back then, and I think that's a neat mix. A mix of older games that you can, hey, I played that, let's play it again, or I played that, I hated it, or whatever it is, but it gives you an introduction again and reminder to go play some of these cool games. So that's neat. For somebody like me, I think that's really cool, so great. You can check out some older games. Looks like it continues on with that. Lloyd Mangram's Forum. So it looks like, I'm not super familiar with this, but it looks like almost like letters to the editor kind of thing. You write a letter. Let's quickly look at one. Too old for retro. Dear Lloyd, my wife says I am too old to read Crash. I'm only 73. Regards, worried fan. And their answer was, I tend to hide my copies of Crash in the garden shed with the lawnmower and the spiders. The latter tend to keep the squeamish away. That would definitely keep my wife away. She's always called me to be bug killer. Alternately, get with the times and go digital. I'm not much of a digital guy. But yeah, see, so letters to the editor is the way I kind of like it. Or if you were younger like me, was it letters to Playboy? Or letters to Hustler? Woo! I never read those magazines. Okay, so Adventure Trail. So Colin Bell's Adventure Trail. Again, I'm just going through this quick. You need to buy the magazine. I think it's important to support these type of folks making these cool things. So the Seance, Rite of the Druid. So I know that. That's a new game for the Speccy Next. I don't own that one yet. I'm having a hard time keeping up with all these games. So I need to get busy. That's one I need to buy. So I need to read up on it. Crash Investigates. All right, cool. Looks like it investigates some other games. Outrun. Screen. Here's Simon Butler. I have him as a friend. Hi, Simon. On Facebook. He's got some beautiful art here that he's Simon Screen. So I'll have to read that. That should be enjoyable. Then the middle of the magazine. Crash. A beautiful Crash ZxSpectrum picture. Hell yeah. Looks like game review, Atomic Cat, Jetpack, playing tips, cool. I always need as many tips as I can, so there's playing tips. The Witch, I've heard of that game before. I think I've actually played it and I didn't do very well, so maybe I should read the tips. Funky Monkey, Classic Pokes, so this is some playing tips, some pokes and peeks and all that stuff. So cool. Sinclair, ZxSpectrum Next, so a big story from Craig Turner. Also, hi, Craig. You're a friend of mine on Facebook. Everybody's friends on Facebook, right? So, nice article on the Next. I need to read through that. It's got some good pictures in there. Talks about some of the games. Nice long article. Cool. Hopefully I'm getting this all in the picture well enough for you to kind of go, oh, that looks good. I need to get this magazine. Bikers. Not a game I own yet. Another one I'm lagging behind on. So I need to get that. Crash issue number 1 talks about, looks like probably the original number 1 Crash in 1984 or whatever it was. So, cool. Crash Back, it's called. Crash Back, subscribe. Here's where you can subscribe to. Can you see that in the picture? www.patreon.com/Crash Magazine. Go check out the website. Preview, some previews here, coming soon to a Spectrum near you. And I've read this, a nice closing, Roger, my hero. So here's Roger, Oliver, and Chris, and a nice picture, and it kind of closes things out along with a Retro Gamer ad in the back. And there is the magazine. Now I can put my glasses back on, because I can barely see. That's a camera. Woo, am I blind? So, awesome. I can't wait to read more. I've only, like I said, read the first and the end to kind of get introduced to the editor and ex-editor. Really excited to be part of this. I need to get that little, I came in too late. They sold a box that you could get to put all these in, a binder. I missed out and they don't have any more. So I'm hoping, Chris, you make some more because I want to buy a binder or two to store my Future Crash magazines. Am I in the camera still? Probably not. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.